All right. So first things first, announcements for things I think I wrote down that I wanted to recognize people for. Heidi's on. I don't see Stephanie on here yet, and Carla's on. So congratulations to Carla for her first ever executive leadership pool money. Shows up next week. And congratulations to Heidi for getting her. She's been an executive every month since the challenge started. So this is the third month rotation. So this month's check is $1,000. So congratulations on that $1,000 bonus to Heidi, and also a $1,000 bonus went to Stephanie. So congratulations to you guys. I'm congratulating them, but at the same time, I want you guys to recognize something. We've got over 29,200 and something now people in the total downline. With us, so Tracy and I, in addition to us, that's it, you guys that are getting paid the executive, lifestyle money. Okay, so don't feel challenged, right? Like when you're comparing yourself, because I always talk about, comparison is not good. I think a lot of people talk about that, but obviously I don't want you to feel like, oh gosh, those guys got it again, or this or that or whatever. Just remember, there's not a lot of people getting it, right? It takes a lot of effort to get there, and it takes even more effort to stay there. Okay. And it's a timing thing. And I know I was talking to Michaela about this when she got into director pool, and I'm like, you want to make sure that you do this right. And you're actually better off, especially now with the way that the pools work, because there's no pools anymore in the executive program. There's only pools in manager and in director. So you're better off hitting director very strategically and really blowing up one side with consultants versus going at it and trying to hit executive right away. I would rather you have like 7 or 8 consultants on one side and 3 or 4 on the other. And then when you're really ready to be an executive, then become an executive with 7 or 8 on one side and 5 or 6 on the other. Because you're going to be stronger at manager pools, you're going to be stronger at the director pools, and you're going to be solid when you get to executive. And that's really my goal for all of you. So as you get closer, as any of those of you who are getting closer, who are like, you know what, I've got 4 or 5 consultants, and I know I'm headed towards the director pool, let's talk. Okay, let's set strategy. Sorry, I had a pistachio before I sit down. I really want to talk with you guys and make sure that you're going into the director pools correctly. And then that way, when you hit director and when you hit executive, it really is with an intention of staying there. Because if I can help you get that mindset and help you really build one side to being a very, very strong, multiple consultants on one side, then we can work on your other side. Okay. And that's a new strategy now, because the old strategy, for those of you that have been around a while, the old strategy wasn't the same because the executive pool money was so much better. It doesn't exist that way anymore. So I really want you guys to strategize. So if you or any of your team members that are getting towards that, 4 or 5 consultant status, where they've got 4 or 5 solid consultants, we need to talk. Okay. We need to talk. We need to set it up. We need to dial it in so that you're hitting the executive with a real solid intention of being able to stay there. Because the executive pool money, or not, the executive money now is $750 month one that you get it, $750 the second month that you get it, and $1,000 the third month that you get it. And then it just keeps going through that rotation, right? So you can actually earn up to an additional $10,000 a year just through staying at executive. Okay. And I'm going a little bit deeper, but I'm looking at the faces that are on here, and I know that you guys know that you can hang in there with me on this. And that is, additionally, at executive, you also get, when someone goes online to isagenix.com and just enrolls, you're on a rotation to get that lead. Okay. So they will send you the information saying, hey, congratulations, so-and-so enrolled, they purchased this much BV or this much in product. We're going to give that BV to you. So you actually get the BV, And if somebody just goes onto icejinx.com and signs up, you're on the rotation for that as well. And then you just get handed an enrollment. All of a sudden you're like, wow, I just got a new person and all is good. Okay. So you'll get new people on your team just because they go to icejinx.com and sign up, because icejinx is doing a lot of advertising. So if somebody just goes to icejinx.com, and I know this has happened to a lot of you with your teammates or with somebody that you've talked to. You've spoken with somebody, you've given them your website address, and then they screwed up in some manner and they ended up enrolling not on your team, and then they just were in Never Never Land. Never Never Land could be me, could be Heidi, could be Carla, could be Stephanie, it could be anybody that's an executive at that time in Isagenix could have ended up with that enrollment. Okay, so you want to make sure, actually you really want to make sure that your Isagenix website address is easy. Okay, you want to make sure it's easy, because if it's screwed up, if it's complicated, if it's some funny spelling of something and you give it to somebody and they spell it wrong, then all of a sudden they end up somewhere else because they didn't understand how to spell Leslie Groove correctly, right? So you want to make sure that, and Leslie, you're a great example, right? You wouldn't want your Isagenix website to be your name .isagenix.com, because if it's your name and somebody spells it wrong, then all of a sudden they just, because if it says .isagenix.com, it's going to go to Isagenix's basic website, right? So if you think you're being cute by having some really cool name, but it's hard to spell or hard to remember, just know that if somebody types it in wrong, they're going to still go to an Isagenix website. It just ain't going to be yours. Okay. So you want to make sure that your personal Isagenix site is good. Oh, Leslie, is that your website address? Is it your name?
Yeah, it's my name.
Okay. Yeah. I would tell you that it would probably be easy to change. It would probably be better to change it just in case, because if you give it to them and they don't spell it right, then you don't get the enrollment. Now, and that's why if I talk to somebody and I say, hey, go to my website, that's why I always tell them to let me know when they complete the enrollment. Because when they complete that enrollment, I'm going to go and make sure that they're on my team. If Leslie, if I was talking to you and you said, hey, Brent, I'm all done, I got my stuff ordered, fantastic, and I don't immediately get an email, I'm going to look, search my tree, make sure, and if you're not there, you and I are going to get on the phone call with customer service and get you moved. I'm going to say, hey, she went on, she screwed up, blah, 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 let's get her moved. Okay, and you can do that easily for the first 3 business days. Okay, after the first 3 business days, it gets a little trickier. Okay, so you got 3 days. If you talk to somebody, they say, oh, I rolled, and you go, but you didn't enroll under me, let's get them moved. And Leslie, you were asking me about that about somebody else. So it's easy. Those first 3 days are easy. After the first 3 days, it gets a little wonky. Okay. What else? Okay, so the corporate stuff. $200 for enrolling 5 people between now and August 23rd. Okay, so you get $200 between now and August 23rd if you enroll 5 people. Okay, I will, you guys, everybody that's on here, send me a message when we're done, and I'm going to give you a separate incentive in addition to that. Okay, so make sure that you message me when this is over, and I'm going to give you a separate incentive in addition to that $200. Okay. And some of it is strategic because some of you are enrolling machines, so the bounty may be a little higher for some of you, and for some of you it's going to be it'll be at the very minimum, it's going to be you achieve the 5 enrollments, you're going to get the Isagenix 200 plus you're going to get money from me. That's the very basic. Okay, so make sure you guys send me a message and I'll get you hooked up. Okay, all right, Carla, you don't count. Sorry.
Okay, fine. All right, it's fine. I know, I already told you, I don't need to count.
There'll be like 15 enrollments.
I don't need to count. Terry, send him a message.
There you go.
I want him to get his extra money.
That's right. Let's get Terry to get it. All right, I like that better. I'm tired of paying you anyway. All right.
I don't want your money.
I got your money. All right. So that's the big corporate news, right? Is the $200 for 5 enrollments. Now, some of you, actually, I don't think anybody on here, but if you have somebody, this is one way that guys could do this. And some of you saw my post that I put, I'm looking for people who've enrolled less than 5 people. What I was really looking for is people that hadn't enrolled anybody, because those people, they're going to get $100 for becoming a consultant, plus they're going to get another $200 for corporate, plus I'll throw an additional incentive toward it. Okay, so we're talking, you know, $400, $500, $600 just because they enroll 5 people, right? So you want to make sure, if you have team members who are interested, who are open to doing the business, you want to make certain that they are aware of this $200 incentive. Because guys, look, they're getting $200 just for enrolling 5 people. And if they have never been a consultant, now you're talking $300 minimum. That doesn't even include the PIB, okay, or cycles or anything else. So you're talking an easy $500, $600 for somebody, for most people, if they enroll 5 people. So it's significant amount of money, and it can really, you know, and it's five people, and it's 100 BV each person. Okay, and I got a message today from somebody who Tracy and I know her really well, and she asked the question, is there any discount codes for the membership? We're like, there's no membership fee. But that just lets us know that you've got to make sure that you're continuing to put that information out there, because some people don't see it, and that's okay, right? That's why we do what we do, to help remind people and show people. But make certain that your teammates know that there's no membership fee. Okay, I promise you, if somebody on this page puts it in working from the beach, hey, there's no longer a membership fee, you're going to see somebody go, oh, really? It's going to happen, and that's okay. It's completely fine. It just means that that person didn't see it the last 100 times it was posted, but we'll post it again, right? So just make sure that you're talking about it and talking about it and talking about it, because it's important for people to know there's no membership fee for a customer. Now, if you have someone who says, I'm interested in making this money, you've got to convert them to associate, and there is a $30 membership, there is a $30 fee to access your back office. Okay, so, and that's how I've been telling people. It's like, look, there's no membership fee for customers, but if you want to do the business, you got to pay $30 to access your back office. $30 annual fee, access your back office, you're good to go. Okay, so you want to make certain that people understand that does exist. So, and they will have to pay that $30 first before they can do anything else. Okay, so anything I can do to help you guys with that. I sent a message to one of our team members today. He was asking, you know, what would you recommend? And my comment was, talk about the shred that's starting in September, and tell people to get enrolled before the 23rd so they make sure that they get their shipment. Okay, so that's an easy one, right? Talk about the shred that's going to start September 7th, because we're going to start it on Labor Day, and people can learn that, hey, look, that's cool. You can start something on Labor Day. It's all good. Do what you need to do. But it's about consistency, you guys. We are all about consistency here, and that's what's going to make you guys more powerful. And so as a team, we have to lead by consistency. And so when we say the call is going to be at Tuesday at 6 p.m., the call is going to be every Tuesday at 6 p.m. When we say we're going to start a shred the first Monday of every month, we're going to start a shred the first Monday of every month. If the first Monday is Labor Day, that's okay, right? We still will do what we say we're going to do, so that so the consistency stays the same. All right, so make sure that you guys do that. All right, I think, see, that was the, sip and sample. So making team changes, things you guys need to know about team changes. Sip and sample. All of you know that there is a $100 sip and sample incentive. So if you host a sip and sample, whether it's virtual or in person, you can earn $100. I love the fact that some of you took advantage of it, or some of you have team members that took advantage of it. Continue to push that information out so that your team knows that that's happening, okay? Because I want your teammates to make sure that they know they can access that. What we've changed, the change in the sip and sample is this. They now are going to have the choice to choose between the $100 in cash or behind door number 2, please, which is Tracy, April, Victoria, whatever, are going to put together a gift basket and send that to them. Okay. And I can tell you right now that the gift basket's probably going to have more financial value than $100, but it's an option that they can choose. So if they host the sip and sample, they can choose $100, or they can choose $100 worth of goodies. Okay. And then those goodies will be shipped to them. And because of the way it works, we're going to have to actually put the goodies together and ship it out. So it's going to be a full cost on our end to make that happen, but I'm willing to do that because I think a lot of people like the goodies, like the team swag, like the more personal stuff than just getting $100. So that is now the new choice that people have when they host a sip and sample. $100 cash, $100 with the goodies. Okay, and they'll just have to make that decision when they make it. Next, the leader in action high five form. Okay, high five changes every year at celebration. High five just changed again now. So if you earned high five in July, no, it's going to be August, maybe it's August, that's going to be your first new month. Okay, so high five has changed, it's turned over. Here's going to be the new requirements that you're going to need to do for the high five. The high five is still, if you enroll 5 people, fantastic, right? You're still part of the high five club. However, everyone, Heidi, is going to have to turn in a leader in action form when they submit for the high five award. Okay, so you've got to submit the leader in action form. Next, the high five had always previously had been of the calendar month. It's not going to be that way anymore. It's going to follow the Isogenics month. Okay, since you're filling out the leader in action form, you're going to fill out the leader in action form with week ending, and you're going to submit your leader in action form in that same manner. Okay, so everything is going to be consistent with Isogenics month. So, and we're trying to tie down that consistency, trying to tie down that the consistency, and trying to tie down the make sure that it's all cohesive, right? That it's all relevant to Isogenics. And the reason is, some of you here need it, but all of our teams need it, and they need to know what an Isogenics month is. What's an Isogenics month? How is that different? That gives you, as a leader, the opportunity to have that conversation about what an Isogenics month is. Some Isogenics months are 4, some Isogenics months are 5 weeks. Some Isogenics months start the ending of the previous month and go through the current month. Some of them don't. You've got to know where to go in your back office to find it. Now, in order to make that a little easier for you, we're going to make sure that Victoria is going to post the Isogenics month that's relevant when she opens the form to be submitted. Okay, so when she says, "Hey, submit your high five," she's going to post that so that people will have a ruler or a gauge to go by, right? But it's going to be important for you guys to show your teammates how to do that. Now, something that you guys can do that Isogenics has done for you, and you want to know, how do I find out if some of my team members need to be reminded? I want you to go to your back office. I want you to go under, I believe it's under leadership, and there is a new tab that is your 16-week PET leader in action. Okay? If you pull that up, that's going to give you every single person in your 16 PET, and it's going to give you every single person that's earned any points in the leader in action. Okay? Now, you're going to find that you may have people that have earned points in leader in action, and they may have even earned the minimum 8 required points, but you still must have 2 enrollments in order to qualify for our High Five Club Award. Okay, that's the only thing that's not consistent with the Isogenics format. You've got to have 2 enrollments. So 2 enrollments and 8 or more points will get you the High Five Award. And it'll be really important for you guys to follow that, watch that, see that, pull that up. copy it, paste it, put it in your team pages, all that kind of stuff, so that you know who's got points. Because I did that a couple weeks ago where I posted like everybody that got points, and I actually had people go, how did that happen? How did I get points? They don't even know they've got the points, but that's okay, right? We're still showing them how to do it, okay? Does that make sense? And does anybody have any questions on the high five points, earning, opportunity, anything?
Hey, Brent, can you just, I'm sure you guys talked about it, but can you make sure that the form description is updated to say what the qualifications are? Because right now it says you have to have 5 enrollments. It doesn't say 2 enrollments and 8 points. And so I think, because you had messaged me, and I think that's part of the reason I didn't inform my team correctly about, you know, even if you don't get 5 enrollments, you might still qualify.
Right.
So making sure it's updated on the actual form.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and our conversation kind of didn't prompt that conversation because we're having the conversation anyway, but it prompted a rewrite of the rules for it. So yeah, so thank you for that. And we're gonna write that up so that everybody understands that, hey, look, you get the gifts if you do that. And we're going to continue calling it high five, just because that's what we called it. It's going to stay the same. But the first portion isn't going to say 5 enrollments. The first portion is going to say fill out the leader in action form. And then the second option, the second way to get it is 5 enrollments. But guess what? You still got to fill out the leader in action form. So even if you get 5 enrollments and that's all you did, you still got to fill out the leader in action form. And we want that because I want you guys to understand how to make money. I want you guys to make sure that your team members know how to make money, right? And that's the important aspect of this, okay? All right. High five, new form, iTunes month, must submit later action. All right, we're good. Okay, so kind of my topic tonight, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about, and I want you to take this into consideration because I think we all need it. And even when I was listening to part of this, I was like, wow, I kind of need that too. A lot of us are expecting a change without doing anything different. Right? We all are like, okay, I want something different out of life, whatever life is handing me, whatever I'm getting from life, but we don't do anything different to make that happen. Okay. We're not changing anything. I talking to a friend of mine and we're talking about, the word busy. The one thing that makes me absolutely insane, makes my brain explode, was somebody to tell me I'm busy. As if that's an excuse, because we're all effing busy. Right? So if somebody says, hey, I'm interested in that, but I'm really busy, I'm like, so you just think that like I'm sitting on my rear end all the time and not doing anything? Because busy is not an excuse, right? Busy is a priority, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not telling you that what I'm offering or what you're offering somebody should take priority off of what they have, right? They've got a priority that must be taken care of, and therefore that's what's keeping them occupied or busy, okay? But busy is a term that many people throw out there as an excuse for why they don't do something. But a lot of times you can ask that exact same person what their favorite Netflix series is, and they can tell you. And if I can ask you your favorite Netflix series and you can tell me that you're current on Netflix, you ain't that busy, right? Because you're current on your Netflix, right? So it's that mindset that we trick ourselves into, that we're busy, even though we're not as busy as we want. And it may be an excuse, and that's okay. Or you may just have a priority that is greater than whatever it is that's being offered to you. Somebody says, hey, look, can you go do something this weekend? And you go, no, I'm busy. That's okay. It just means that you've got something else that's a priority over what they're offering. Hey, I've got a private jet that's scheduled to fly us all to Florida, and then we're going to take a private yacht from Florida to the Bahamas, and we're going to cruise around the Bahamas, and we're going to come back, and it's going to be amazing, and everybody that takes the trip is going to get gold and diamonds, and it's going to be amazing. Now how many people are busy? Right? Because now all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I might not be quite that busy, right? It's okay. It's just that it's a priority thing, right? So just kind of keep that in mind about your priority and this idea of choosing a different path. Okay. So if you want something different, choose a different path. And the term that was used that I really liked, and that is living strategically. Okay. So how many of us are doing strategic living versus how many of us are just kind of waking up and kind of going with what life hands us, right? Because living strategically takes planning, and living whatever happens doesn't take a lot of planning. It's just like I'm showing up, I wake up in the morning, I do this, and this. How many of you can map out the first 15 things you do in the morning or 10 things you do in the morning, right? And it's the same things that you do every morning, right? Maybe that's good, maybe it's bad. But if you want something different out of life, then maybe you need to change up what you're doing, right? And one of these hits hard with me because I do this, right? First thing I do, I wake up, much to Tracy's disapproval, is I check my Facebook, I check the news, I check my inbox, I check all those things as soon as I wake up. And the number one thing that they say not to do, check social media, check your inbox, any of that. You should not do that in your first 30, actually they say your first 50 minutes of waking up, right? You shouldn't do it. Nor should you do it your first 50 minutes before going to bed. And the reason that they say this, and actually probably the reason that I can make myself change that, is because you go from being someone who is reacting to someone else's needs to be somebody who's taking care of your own needs first. And I'm kind of a selfish guy on occasion. So it's really not hard for me to say, you know what? Maybe I won't do this before I go to bed. Maybe I won't do this as soon as I wake up because I really want to take care of myself first. And I can tell you guys this in this manner. There's a lot of times that I check my social media, or I check my inbox or whatever else. There's a lot of times I do it, but I can tell you the time I don't. When I'm working out. When I'm at the gym, I don't even have my phone physically on my body. And that's because that's my time, and I prioritize that time over everything else. And I got to get that same mindset to my morning, even though I work out in the mornings, most mornings, but that first 50 minutes before you go to bed, and the first 50 minutes and the first 50 minutes before you when you wake up. So I guess I should say it differently. The last 50 minutes of your day, so the 50 minutes before you go to bed and your first 50 minutes when you wake up, they say stay away from the screen. Right? Stay away from the screen, stay away from all that. Let your brain get a break and chill, and let yourself take advantage of taking care of you. Okay? So 50 minutes before bed, 50 minutes when you wake up. And this goes back again towards that strategic living. And are you living strategically? Meaning, are you making these decisions so that you can live the life that you want to live? Or are you reacting to everybody else's, Michaela's got no kids around, bullshit, right? So that you don't have you're not having to listen to somebody else's, I need this from you right before you go to bed, or I need this from you as soon as you wake up. Give yourself that time and take care of yourself. Be a little selfish, right? That's the key, is what I'm trying to tell you guys. So be a little selfish about that time. He gave some additional recommendations. One of the recommendations was, I'll ask you guys this by show of hands. How many of you get a minimum of 8 hours of sleep every night? Like, you're going to get 8 hours, right? Most people don't. And that's my sister's like, yeah, hell yeah, I'll come back on just to wave and say I do, right? So for those of you who are getting your 8 hours, that's fantastic. For the rest of those of you and me, that don't get your 8 hours, if right now, if you're getting 5 hours tonight, try to get 50 more minutes of sleep before you go to bed. Just 50, right? Try to go to bed either 50 minutes earlier, or try to wake up, and for many of you, you can't because you've got something going on in the morning, 50 minutes later. But increase it by 50 minutes at a time. If you can only do 30 minutes, do it by 30 minutes. Do it by 30-minute increments. But see what that changes in your performance for the next day. because an additional 50 minutes of sleep can increase your performance during your day, your cognitive realities, all that kind of stuff, by over 20%. Right? Now, many of us survive day after day, week after week, month after month of not getting that much sleep. But it's important to get that sleep because it's going to help you with your day. Okay? And I see laughing going on, so there's obviously something going on in the chat that I'm missing out on. But that's okay. So just know that that's going to help you, and that is something that we should all try to do, because if you're think that you're doing amazing but you're only sleeping 5 or 6 hours, maybe you'll be even double amazing if you get an extra 50 minutes of sleep. Okay, so think on that, see if you can't work it in, make it happen. And then the last one that I'm going to talk about, the sleep spray, right? And then the last one that I'm going to talk about is this, the concept behind 50-minute time blocks. Try this. I am going to try this. Set your time block at 50 minutes. And whatever it is that you're focused on, I want you guys to focus on that for 50 minutes. If you're going to do social media, then set your timer for 50 minutes and dig in and get your social media done. If you're going to scroll for 50 minutes, set your scroll button for 50 minutes and do your scrolling for 50 minutes. Focus on setting things at a 50-minute time block to get it done, to get done what you're wanting to get done, and don't do anything else. So if you're doing your social media for the purpose of making posts and doing Isogenics Engaged business, then set it at 50 minutes and don't get sidetracked with, oh, that's a cute story, let me listen to that, or oh, that's an interesting article, let me read that. Focus and stay at your 50-minute time block and focus and try to stay focused for that 50 minutes. Okay? So if you're going to do email, do 50 minutes of email. And if your messenger goes off or something else goes off, ignore it and stay on task for your 50 minutes. Okay? And just see how it works. Maybe you can't do it for 50 minutes. Maybe you can only focus for 20 minutes. Whatever the case might be, but work towards getting that 50-minute time block and see if it changes anything. And I'd love to hear feedback on anybody that decides to try this. So yeah, it's super easy to get distracted. Getting distracted it's an easy thing, right? Somebody sends you a message, you're like, oh, right? And then all of a sudden now you're distracted. So, but focus on that, right? Do your best to stay focused and try to do your 50-minute time blocks. And anybody that commits to that, I would love to hear your comments about how that worked. And it does fall under time management, but I didn't even really use that term just because sometimes people get freaked out if they think, oh, I'm going to try to do time management. I don't care what you call it. Just work at focusing on something for 50 minutes at a time. And then the reason they tell you that they want you to work on the 50 minutes is because that other 10 minutes should be get up, stretch, hydrate, feed your brain a little bit with some extra oxygen. Because how many of you have sat down in front of your computer doing bills or doing taxes or doing whatever it is you're doing, and all of a sudden you look back and it's like 2 hours has gone by, 3 hours has gone by, and you haven't gotten your butt up off of that chair for 2 to 3 hours, right? So set it at 50 minutes and use that extra 10 minutes as your buffer to get up and stretch and do your thing, okay? Has anybody tried any of that? Because I know this isn't new. A lot of this is Brandon Bouchard stuff. Leslie, what did you try?
I read a lot. I've tried it all. I've read the Miracle Morning and all that, and I can't remember is it Darren Hardy? A lot of Darren Hardy books.
Yep. And what has it done for you, or what's sort of something that you've done that's been beneficial?
The best one for me is the Miracle Morning. Although I will stay on that for like 6 months or for a while, and then I don't know, something always happens and I stop doing it. I don't know, but it's really good because it gets up and you have to do the same things every morning. And I feel my best when I'm doing it. I feel more organized. Like as long as I have everything written out for the week, like my big tasks they're like off they're not stressing me out anymore because it's on paper. Like it's going to get done.
Give an example of what that looks like.
Okay. So you wake up and you read, like, you exercises on there, you read personal development book, like whatever you're trying to personally work on at the moment. Exercise, read, write, like journaling, silence, so like meditation, and then just planning your week. Like for me, like I have to put my lawn on there somewhere, because if I don't, I stress about it all week. But if I know it's for Saturday, I can erase it off my mind. I don't have to stress about it because I know it's going to get done on Saturday. And then just like trying as much as you can stick to the plan, and you can rearrange your week as you need to go.
And how long do they, what's the time block for that?
There's you can do, it's actually, I think it's 50 to 60 minutes, or there's like a I don't know if it's 20 minutes. There's a smaller one for if you have like a busy morning and you don't have an hour. But I am a morning person, and I force myself to be a morning person. So when I wake up, I like to take that hour before I go to the gym and kind of like just relax. That's my me time, and then go to the gym. And then when I come home, it's go time. Like then it's business.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else? Thank you for that, Leslie. Anybody else have a morning thing that they've kind of a routine, or doesn't have to be morning, but morning, evening, that they've tried to put together that's been successful for them at any period of time?
I do the same thing every morning except for my networking, my BNI mornings. That's always a little different because it's so early, but I do the same thing that Leslie just said. The only thing that I can't do is if I'm doing everything for 10 minutes, is I can't be quiet for 10 minutes. Like I can't sit there and do nothing for 10 minutes. And I mean, I kind of think that's dumb, and I kind of think it's a waste of time. But I'm working on that. So there is a part in the book where he says you can do the 6 minute. You can do everything for 1 minute, you know, and I can be quiet and silent for 1 minute. I can. But, you know, you should just think about what is going to work for you. So like I'll do everything for 10 or 15 minutes. I'm quiet for a minute. And then, you know, my friend said, work up to 10 minutes. And I'm like, why? I don't have time for that. I don't want to.
Is that friend that's telling you to work up to 10 minutes? Is that Jason that's telling you to work up to that 10 minutes of silence?
Okay, I was going to say therapist, but yes, it's Jason. He wants me to be quiet for other reasons, though, Kent.
Awesome. Anybody else?
I mean, I just put the picture of it in Working from the Beach. You guys can all check that out.
Cool. Thank you. What do you got, Andrew? You got anything to add?
Oh, yeah, I just logged in. I forgot about the meeting.
What the?
He didn't do time blocks.
50 minutes of focused time in the morning.
Oh,
I was just going to share real quick about what I do, and not everyone on here is in the same stage of life, but my time blocks look a little different because I've got 2 distractions always. So I can't minimize them. They don't close and they don't silence. They're just there. So I have to be very intentional about my kid free time in order to fit things in. 50 minutes that's too long of a block for me to do one thing. Otherwise I literally would not get stuff done if I did things for 50 minutes. And so I was talking to Kelly about this, but I time block my week. So there's different days that I focus on different things during my kid free time. And the only way that I can do it without distraction is I put my phone on do not disturb. If I really want to get my, I do all my social media posts for the week. I do them on Sunday, write them all out. And I have some impromptu ones that come up, of course, but for specifically my Instagram posting, I write them all out on Sunday. I put my phone on do not disturb, and I close all my other apps. I just don't open them. I just focus on sometimes, and if I'm feeling super distracted, I open a Word document instead, because then you don't even need the internet and you're a lot less likely to get distracted until I'm done with that portion. And just this week, I actually started doing an hour of do not disturb time when I'm with my kids, because I need to focus and be intentional about pouring into them and not doing other things. And I get distracted by my notifications on my phone. Someone having a question or wanting to sign up or do something. And so I take off my watch and I put my phone and my watch somewhere else for a whole hour so that I can just be there and do things like play pretend and do all the things that I wouldn't typically do otherwise, because that's a priority in my life. But I think the key is you have to minimize the windows and you have to turn off your notifications. And I used to do that at my desk job too, where my email would be closed. I wouldn't respond to emails if I was trying to work on a project, because you just really can't do two things at once. Even if you think you're a good multitasker, you really are not.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. No, and thanks for sharing that. I mean, it's so true, you guys. And that dedication to changing how you respond or changing how you behave, it takes effort, right? I mean, I can tell you guys, I feel like that one of the things that caused our business to be successful was the fact that we just always answer, right? Like, just always there. Like, people send a message, like, I answer. And part of that is good. You know, it shows that it's a high level of customer service. It's a great level of responsiveness. It's all those things. But sometimes it sets a bad precedent for how you respond, right? Because if you always respond right away and then all of a sudden you don't respond, then you start getting people like, oh, well, why didn't you, what happened, right? But you've got a certain level of take care of your own stuff that you've got to deal with. And I think that that's this whole, the strategic living thing, is really learning how to live strategically and to decide what you're going to do and how you're going to respond to things. Now, I will tell you that I'm not likely to change my response on things when I'm available. And because this is my job, I am more available than what some people can be. But if you've got other things, or if you're going to do things, then I think Michaela's suggestion and Leslie's suggestion is spot on, and that is schedule your morning activities, schedule your evening activities, and schedule those 50 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever it is, time blocks that you know that you're going to do it. Because the other thing about scheduling, even if it's 20 or 30 minutes, is at least you know you're going to spend a specific amount of time in your Isogenics business. And I'm talking specifically about Isogenics right now. So I would love to see you guys spend specific amount of time with your Isogenics business. Because if you will do that, then you're going to see your business change. You're going to see things change about how you respond to things. You're going to find that you're going to have more people in your pipeline because you are being strategic about how you're connecting with people. Because many of us just like, think of something like, I'm going to make a post on that, or I was going to, but I didn't. And you've got to be intentional about that. So in addition to being strategic, you've got to be intentional. Okay. And that's my goal for many of you guys is to set your intentions on that. Okay. All right.
Hey, Brent, can I share on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And for me, with side personal growth and my health wise, I had to find spots where I knew other people couldn't disturb me when I needed to do those things. I wasn't a morning person either, and I found that working out at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, nobody was going to ask me to go out for a drink or go have dinner with them at that time in the morning. So going to the gym at that time of the day would work for me. Everybody else in the world is sleeping at that time, so it was my me time. And I know Brent and I talked about, one of the things I've been trying to be better at is reading on my personal growth. And I find that when I'm mowing my lawn for an hour, listening to a book while I'm mowing the lawn, nobody comes out and says, "Hey, do you want me to mow the lawn for you?" Nobody disturbs me during that time. So it's another time that I have to read to personal growth. So I just try to find those times when no one really wants to disturb you and doesn't want your time, to use that for my advantage. So
that's cool. Yeah, and that's using those things like that that's a great technique, and you and I talked about that. And for those of you who haven't, I know Todd's reading that book now, and I actually do need to go back and reread it. But the GoPro book by Eric Worre is something that if you haven't read it, I would encourage you to read it. If you've read it, but it's been a while, I would encourage you to go back and read it again. There's a lot of very actionable items within that book versus just being a, I don't want to call it a self-help book, but a self-help book. It's got actionable items that you can actually do and things that you can make happen. And I would encourage you guys to read it, especially if you haven't ever read it. Okay. All right. Anybody else have a routine or something they want to talk about or share into on what they're doing?
I have a tip for people to be more consistent in their whatever your thing is. Start posting about it or make it part of your story. And then people will sometimes engage in that. So if it's like your daily, whatever you do. So like for me, I have a devotional thing that I read and I usually post whatever it is for that day. And I get a lot of people who, comment that they needed it or just like it or heart it or whatever. And so I know, like, I feel bad if I don't do it that day because I feel like somebody was waiting for it. So if you just make it something that everybody knows that you're doing, that might help you stay accountable to yourself.
Yeah, no, that's a great one, April. And that's so true with everything, right? If you make people aware of something that you say you're going to do, you're more likely to do it. If you set a goal, but you don't share that goal, and I'm not saying that's necessarily a goal, but April, but it's kind of has turned into one.
Right.
Is if you share that goal with others and then people don't see you do it, then they're like, what happened? It's like, I set the goal to do 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups every single day this year. I've missed 2 days, right? So every day I've done 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups. Now, sometimes I haven't gotten them done until just before I go to bed or whatever, but I still get them done. And it's been important to me. And I almost feel like now that if I don't get them done, then I kind of feel like I'm cheating. So then I'm like, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten in bed and said, and I get back out of bed to do them, right? Because to me, it's something that I've committed to. And so I've stayed consistent with it. And I would tell you guys to find that and make that happen. And that's the very last thing, is habits, you guys. If you want a different level of success, you've got to change your habits, right? You have to fix and adjust your habits to get them in the direction of the level of success that you want. And if your habits aren't getting you where you want to be, I actually should say it differently. If you're not getting to where you want to be, then you need to change your habits, because that's what's keeping you from getting there, right? And it goes back to, and many of you guys have heard me say this before, but it goes back to the idea about drinking the shake every day. How many days a month you guys wake up and not brush your teeth? Right? Seriously, how many times do you guys not brush your teeth in a month? Todd says 5, so you get a giving, right? But my mindset is the same with the shake or with the nutrition. It's just something I do. Like, it's not, I don't go out of my, like, it's not out of my way. It's part of my daily routine that I'm going to get that fuel into my system. And if you guys are talking to somebody and you've got the person who tells you, oh, you know what, I don't want to drink the shake because I have to rinse out my shaker cup, right? If you've got that person who tells you something like that, right, uses that as an excuse as to why they're not going to do the shake, that's like telling me I don't want to use the toothbrush because I don't have to put the lid back on the toothpaste, right? That's dumb, right? I mean, that's not even a valid, that is just something that somebody has chosen to say, I'm not doing it. And they thought, I've got to figure out an excuse to say I'm not going to do it, so let me use the fact that I don't want to wash the cup, right? I mean, it's just beside me that somebody would say that. But it's a habit that we all have to have and we have to maintain. Greta didn't lose 100 pounds by keeping the same habits. Michelle didn't lose 100 pounds by keeping the same habits. Todd didn't lose 100 pounds by keeping the same habits, right? Andrew, you haven't made the changes that you've made in your world by keeping the same habits. Because now the habits are getting out and going for a run, right? Getting out and doing something different, right? Letting Malia kick your ass in the next sporting event that you're involved in, whatever that might be. But that's what has allowed you to have those change of habits. And those changes are what makes everything happen, you guys. So that's all I got. Change your habits, change your life. Okay. All right. So for those of you who are on here, make sure you send me the message. I got a special incentive for you. Send me a message if you're going to go for, if you're not going to go for the 5 enrollments, if you're not going to get 5 enrollments by the 23rd, don't bother sending me a message. It's only for those of you who are saying, I'm going to get 5 enrollments by the 23rd, send me a message. Because if you're going to get 5 enrollments by the 23rd, I'm going to add an extra incentive for you. Okay? Except for Carla. And maybe my sister. I don't think I'll pay her either. All right. And Heidi, no. You got $1,000 bonus this month just for staying an executive.
So did you. So
Yeah.
did you.
And nobody's sending me any money for enrolling 5 people.
I'm just saying. Congratulations, Brent Shaw. And
Woo!
thanks for your giveaway most of your money to your team. You
That's
guys,
right.
let's hear it for
That
Brent,
right there.
everybody.
That's why I can offer this incentive, because I got that incentive money from the corporate. So I'm paying it forward. So it's all good stuff. All right, you guys, have a fantastic evening. Thank you guys for being on here. It is Tuesday and it's awesome to see your faces. So thank you. And I really hope you guys have a super powerful week, and go after that money, you guys. It's there for the taking. And if I enrolled you, I really want you to go after it, because I need the Fiji points.
Gail Fromm, he's talking.